This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we catch up with Bates Director of Athletics, Jason Fein, to talk about his first few months on campus. Plus, we talk with our Bobcats of the week, senior Nina Davenport and sophomore Jeff Spellman. That's coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The women's basketball team visited Southern Maine on Tuesday and won 68-56, thanks in part to 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals from senior Nina Davenport. The Bobcats dropped games at WPI and the University of New England on Saturday and Monday, respectively. But Bates finally gets a home game this Friday when the Bobcats take on the University of Maine, Augusta. Davenport turned in another great performance on Monday with 20 points. She is closing in on a milestone, and she is our female Bobcat of the week. Joined by female Bobcat of the week, Nina Davenport here on the Bobcast. Nina, right now, at this moment in time, you're 3 points away from 1,000 career points. What will it mean to you when you reach that milestone? Because you know it's going to happen. I mean, you have plenty of games left.
I mean, I hope it happens. No pressure, but knock on wood. I just think it's kind of like establishes like what I am doing this past 3 seasons at Bates. It's never really been like I didn't come to Bates play basketball. I'm like I'm gonna score 1,000 points. It just kind of like started to happen as like the seasons kind of developed, and then obviously like you said before, you know, like my role is pretty much to like score. So I think it's not really like it is super special, but I'm kind of more focused on just like getting it out of the way now so that I can just like really focus on, you know, the upcoming games ahead and like NESCAC season. So it's kind of just like an exciting thing for the team, I think, just like a morale thing. Like it's an exciting thing, especially our first home opener too. So hopefully that'll be a great way to start it off.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. You started the season with, 5 road games? Now finally get a home game. You must be pretty excited, right?
Yeah, we kind of joke. We're like, you know, we really love our new uniforms, but we're really sick of wearing red. We're ready to wear white. But no, we're really excited to have a home opener. Just playing on the road's tough, you know, staying in hotels, just nonstop traveling, being on buses. So we're really ready for this home stretch of games.
Great. So obviously December, interesting month because you play some NESCAC opponents, but they're not NESCAC games or anything. So what are you using this month to prepare for NESCAC play?
Yeah, so we play Colby and Bowdoin, I think, this coming week and next week. In those games, I use them personally just to kind of see where we're at right now compared to other NESCAC teams because you don't really know until you get to those conference games. So I think playing Colby and Bowdoin is really good just to kind of measure up and be like, okay, yeah, we're right there with them or even better. So, and then once we do play them in NESCAC, you know, we just know that we're even more prepared for them.
How is the team adjusting to post-Ali Coppola era, right? Because all of those rebounds all the time, obviously a key contributor for years.
Yeah, definitely. We've been playing 4 guards and myself, which I wouldn't really consider myself a post. So we've been playing 5 out, which is different, but I also think can be good because when we have a lot of other teams have that big post presence, and so we're drawing them out of the paint, so we're able to drive and create. But that has been one thing we've definitely been struggling on this year so far is getting rebounds. Yesterday they got a ton of O boards against us at UNE. So that's definitely the number one thing that we've been struggling with so far. But Ali was a huge presence. We depended on her to get all the rebounds. So this year we're like, okay, someone else needs to step up and kind of take that role. So.
Sure, and while your background is interesting, we've talked about this a little bit before, but when you were a first year, you started off at University of Maine. You weren't playing basketball or anything, and then you decided to come to Bates and join the basketball team. Take us back and how that all went down, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, so I was at UMaine my first semester. I started seeing former teammates and their college seasons take off, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I can really do this, but I'm gonna stick it out this semester. And then once I started seeing people get into games and stuff, I was like, nope, I need basketball. I cannot go another 3.5 years without playing basketball. So I last minute decided to reapply to Bates, like a month after the transfer applications were due. Got accepted, and then Coach Murphy was super nice and accepting and told me the day after Christmas, like, show up to practice. And I was like, okay. So I was there, and then the rest is history.
You're a senior, so tell us about some of the first years and what you've seen from them so far. I've seen Middlebrook in a number of steals, right?
Yeah, she's been amazing. When she steps on the court, her energy is just so contagious. She'll go like for a layup, make it, get an and one. She like slaps the floor with both hands. She's giving double high fives to everyone. So I think she definitely just brings a lot of energy that we kind of need to like pick us up when we get in those scoring droughts or the other team makes a run. And Taylor also, she just came back from an injury and just really stepped in. She didn't even know she was injured for the first month of the season. And she's been doing great. She's been getting boards for us, getting a lot of O boards put back, so she's been doing a great job as well.
Great. And just thoughts on what some of your maybe personal goals are, or goals you have as a team moving forward in this season?
Yeah, one thing we're really focused on this season is no matter the outcome of the game, whether we win or lose, just being proud of our effort, and we're trying to focus on, what do we want teams to think of when they play Bates, and we really want them to be like, Bates always competes to the last second, no matter what the score is. They're working hard, they're diving for balls every minute of the game, so we're really focused on just having positive energy, picking each other up, and not, during the game when we might be down by 5 or 6, not being like, oh, the game's over, just like staying with it and competing for a full 40 minutes.
Nina Davenport, our female Bobcat of the Week. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
The men's basketball team beat Southern Maine 55-46 on Tuesday, and the Bobcats improved their record to 3-1 on the season with a 107-103 win in their home opener against the University of New England on Sunday. Sophomore Jeff Spellman scored a career-high 38 points, including the game-clinching bucket with less than 10 seconds remaining in regulation.
Coveney still trying to drive into the paint. Shot up over Gilpin. Good. With 11 seconds left, it's a 2-point lead for Bates. They have to be very careful here. Full court press. Gilpin ahead for Spellman. He got him. Spellman on the drive. Layup. Good! With 7.7 seconds to go.
And for his performance, Jeff Spellman is our male Bobcat of the Week. Talking to our male Bobcat of the Week, Jeff Spellman here on the Bobcast. And Jeff, first of all, the team as a whole, want to talk about a little bit about the post-Delpeche era, right? Malcolm and Marcus were such a big presence in the post throughout their careers here. This is your sophomore season as a guard. What are some of the differences you've noticed so far this year without them in the post?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a huge difference without having those two big bodies down there. But, we gotta play with a much faster tempo this year, obviously, without them. And, our strength is going to be shooting the ball. We haven't shot the ball extremely well yet. But, looking forward, we know that's something that's going to happen. So that's the biggest difference, really.
Right. Well, in terms of shooting the ball, you mentioned, obviously, outside shots were a little bit off against UNE, but you still won the game. So it must be encouraging that you can find ways to win even when you aren't shooting well.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. That's what the coach has been so pleased with us. We have not shot the ball even close to like how we're going to be shooting it, and the fact that we can still pull out these wins is huge.
The UNE game, you mentioned you like to play at a high pace, but that's probably the highest pace you'll ever play at, right?
Yeah, probably won't get much faster than that. That's a different level. It's pretty crazy, but I was happy that we were able to execute what we planned to do.
And you mentioned this a little bit after the game, but how do you kind of deal with such a high-paced game when they're making line changes like that in terms of defensively even? Because there's new guys coming out there every few minutes.
Yeah, it's super hard to prepare to play against that. You just have to hope your guys adjust on the fly. I think we did a great job of that, and we just had to match their energy and intensity, and I think we did a fantastic job.
For you personally, this being your sophomore season, you played basically kind of half of last year. You were out initially, but then came back. What are some adjustments you've been making to improve your game this year?
I just stayed in the gym this summer, and just there wasn't one specific part of my game I wanted to focus on. I just wanted to get better as a whole, and that's just been the goal, and that's what I'm continuing to do.
When you drive the hoop, I know you have some acrobatic moves you've got. How did you develop those?
I mean, that's tough to say. I mean, I think it's just years of playing with older, bigger guys, and it really helps.
Try to use the hoop as a screen away from them, right, a little bit?
Yeah, you can use the hoop as another little barricade for you. You can't block on the other side of it, so you got to use that to your advantage.
And then in terms of the team as a whole, there are so many guards, right? So what's that dynamic like to have, guys like Coyne, guys like Strickland, a bunch of different guys who can all, contribute?
I mean, it's fun. And I think a lot of guys are used to playing with, a ton of guards. It's not, you don't always have the luxury of, having the two twins in the post. So I don't think it's a huge adjustment for anyone because most of your life you play with smaller guys. So I think that's working for us. But, it's great to be able to just kick to anyone who can really shoot. That's so hard to defend against.
First home game of the year there against UNE. Nice crowd, even though the students maybe not have been completely back on campus.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. Wasn't really sure what to expect, Sunday back from break, but, at one point I looked up and I was like, wow, it's really packed, so it was great to see everyone there.
Any thoughts on what the team's going to be focused on? Obviously, you mentioned, once the shots start falling, that's going to help, but, December is an interesting month, right? Because you're playing some NESCAC opponents, but they're not NESCAC games yet.
Yeah, it's always it's a strange time in our schedule, but it's exciting, we have a chance to prove a lot to people, and, we are so ultra focused on just each game, which is great. So we're not really too sure what the plan is coming up, but we know we have to compete still.
Sure, and then I know Coach Furbush mentioned that in terms of there's not really a point guard per se. It's whoever basically can get the ball off a rebound, right?
Yeah, just whoever gets it, you just want to get up and push. I mean, that's what he's been telling us since day one. So I think we're starting to understand that now. We're starting to play like that, which is great.
You looking forward to making that trip to Florida this winter?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be nice to get away from the cold, too. But, no, I don't really know much about those teams yet, but it should be a good chance for us to get down there and, show you what we got.
Yeah, how much film study are you able to do when there's these teams you're going off to these, different locations to play teams that you've never seen before?
Yeah, I mean, we can still get film on these guys. We haven't discussed that yet, but right. I know we'll be able to get film on them. And I know they're both going to be pretty solid teams from their reputation, but it should be exciting.
Great. And what do you think some of the lessons you took away from your first year in NESCAC play of what it takes to succeed, in this conference?
I mean, it's just a lot harder than you would expect. I mean, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect coming into the year, but, the experience is definitely going to help now. And it's just every night you're not sure. You may think you know something about a team, but it's completely different when you get there. That's why it's something we try to tell the freshmen. It's like you really just have no idea what to expect night in and night out. The worst team in the league could beat the best team, vice versa.
Excellent. Well, Jeff Spellman, thanks so much for joining us. Our male Bobcat of the Week.
Thank you very much.
With fall sports all wrapped up, it's a good time to catch up with Bates Director of Athletics, Jason Fein. Fein is in his first year on campus, and we checked in with him about what he's learned so far and what the immediate and a little more distant future holds.
It was an exciting fall. I mean, I was really excited. I mean, we had little struggles with some football games, but we were able to win the CBB. I get to see us do that at home. That was a lot of fun in that Bowdoin game. Across country, we had a really impressive finish with Catherine Cook. That was amazing. And then seeing three teams, go to the playoffs. The NESCAC is such a tough league. We talked about that in our first, interview together, and I was curious to see how it was going to go. And as you see with field hockey, you can be ranked 20th in the nation and squeak into the playoffs here, and then end up losing, to the eventual national champion. So, from the soccer side and field hockey and volleyball, taking down Wesleyan here at home when they were 16-1. It was exciting.
Yeah, you touched on the fact that football won the CBB again. I mean, first of all, that game, a bunch of alumni were there. It seems like a really great environment, wasn't it?
It really was. I mean, we had a bunch of folks back from the class of 1960, and they kind of rivaled our current students as far as, the fan and the just the loudness of the crowd. And it was great seeing them mix and mingle together. We had the student section pretty packed. People were excited, and it was great for the guys to get a win like that at home, especially for the seniors, to do it 4 in a row. And one of the players, said to me right before the game, he said, welcome to the CBB. We're going to win it for you. And I said that, and then at the end, he said, I told you we were going to win it. So it's nice, and hopefully it's a sign of things to come. Obviously, we want to be more and more competitive in all of our sports, but it's nice to have some success, at least in some limited capacity, right off the bat. I
know a big part of your job, we're trying to schedule this interview, is meetings. You're in meetings a lot. Do you embrace that? Does it ever get a little tiring?
Oh, it definitely gets a little tiring, no doubt about it. But, I mean, there's so many things we want to do. Just meeting folks on campus, first of all, and different constituents there out in the community has been super important. Meeting with alums has been important. But just departments and day-to-day stuff that's going on. We know that we want to be a big part of this capital campaign that we're doing. So we're doing a ton with the advancement office. We're doing a ton with the admissions office and trying to make sure that our relationships with, everywhere on campus are what they need to be. Faculty, students, you name it. So yeah, there's a lot of meetings, and then plus, with 31 teams, there's a lot of meetings with staff and coaches here in the department. And as you know, and as everyone knows, I think that the fan experience is really a big part of what we want to try and improve as well. So we're doing a lot of internal meetings about that.
You mentioned that one of the football players said we're going to win this one for you. How much interaction have you gotten to have so far with some of our student athletes?
A good amount. Some more formal than others, where I've had some, meetings with, Walter Washington, our student government president. We met a few times. He's also one of our student athletes. But the best part of the interaction with the student athletes is when I just get out to practice. Sometimes at the games, but more at the practices where I can get out there and just actually get to know them, or just see them out, at the commons or whatever it is, and actually have some conversations that way. So I would say, I'm looking forward to doing more. But in the fall, I thought it was lit. I was at a bunch of the volleyball games and soccer matches, and got to interact with the students a little bit. Definitely look forward to doing more of that.
Biggest difference you've noticed so far between your job at your previous school and the job here? It's the same title, but I'm sure there's differences you've noticed.
Aside from the fact that it's 13 degrees more here than it was there, we have more. Number one, we have more sports here, more programs, and then when you add in club sports, recreation, wellness, and things like that we're trying to do as well, it's a lot more comprehensive. But then again, that gives us more opportunities. We were able to order new treadmills for the fitness center. We've gotten good feedback on that so far. So able to help on the recreational side, getting some good feedback from the club sports. But the other big difference, obviously, is having a football program in the fall, which is different. We did not have one at my previous institution. But I think probably just the fact that every day you're basically in the Division III, version of, if this was Division I, it would be the ACC or the SEC. Every game, every week, you're playing against the Division III version of the Alabama, the Auburn, the Clemson, and that's tough. And I give our coaches and our students a lot of credit because, as I mentioned, you can be ranked 20th in the nation and still have to really fight to even just make the playoffs, and that's competing at the highest level on the biggest stage in D3.
You're a big social media guy. You launched an Instagram there. How's that coming along?
It's good. I'm looking forward to handing it off to you though, because the truth is I don't have I'm not as good as keeping up at it as I would like to. But one thing we did do was we started to engage some students that are interested in coming in and helping us with social media, helping us with some promotions at games, and taking their opinions of what's important. We know that's the way that our students, like to communicate, so we want to communicate with them in the way that we can, and we're gonna keep pushing that. We're obviously gonna have a big social media push with our new website that's launching, and our webcasting and things like that. We want to do more interacting with our constituents, and it's not just the students; it's the fans, it's the parents, it's the alums. It's a great way to get some instantaneous feedback on what we're doing. So, my Instagram game needs to get up a little bit.
Well, plug the Instagram here. What's the user handle?
Go Bates Bobcats is the Instagram, and we've got a ton of followers and people watch it. What I'd like to do is let the students maybe take it over a little bit too, so we can get more coverage of things as opposed to just the one thing that I may be at that day.
How about that crowd at Alumni Gym for the first home game of the year for men's basketball? Students were barely back on campus, but people still packed the place.
Yeah, that was super exciting and a little bit surprising. I mean, everyone had said to me, don't expect too big a crowd for Thanksgiving weekend, but great crowd, unbelievable game, really strange kind of game. And and your take on the UNE team being like a Grinnell style offense, which outside of probably the D3 world and maybe some specific piece of the D3 world, people wouldn't know what that meant, but I knew what that meant, which they were going to come down, they were going to shoot a bunch of threes. We were able to respond, which I thought was great for our team and the coaches, and to get that win in such a frenetic fashion. When you see a game that's like 61-58 at halftime, and then you're in the hundreds, and there's still a few minutes to go. That's some high-paced action. So I think Alumni Gym is going to be an exciting place, and I just hope that the students and fans will come down and see us. This Friday we've got women's basketball home opener. It's going to be fun. We're going to do some promotions this week. We're going to, as a matter of fact, we're going to have a T-shirt giveaway on Friday night for our students. So anyone who's listening, hopefully will come down and be part of that.
Well, and Nina Davenport, 3 points away from 1,000. That's pretty exciting, right?
Very exciting. And as a former SID, I believe in jinxes. I don't like to talk about it and things like that. But yeah, we're excited for that and hoping for a special night on Friday for her.
All right, so I know people want to know about facilities and plans for that. You've only been here one quarter, but what are some of your initial thoughts on the facilities we have here and what upgrades you might want to make going forward, perhaps? Coming into the position, we knew already that we were part of the capital campaign that the president announced. So there's a sizable chunk in there for athletics facilities. The question is, what's the best way to raise that money and spend that money to benefit the most students maximum number of students that we can. We know there's some needs. We know Alumni Gym is one of them as far as floor and bleachers in there. But we know that also our locker facilities, our fitness facilities really need to be improved. So that's kind of been the focus recently, is what's the best way to maximize what we're trying to do so it'll benefit the most people. And it's going to take a while, but I certainly know that we definitely have heard what the students and folks have been saying, which is that we need better fitness facilities, we need better locker rooms, I think we acknowledge it, and it's a matter of figuring out how, when, and exactly how fast we can get it done. Great. What are you most excited about for maybe the winter season in January? I know we got skiing coming up in January, indoor track, some unique sports, certainly.
Yeah, our track program obviously is going to be really competitive, and excited to see them. But skiing for me is a little bit different. Reminds me of when I was at Drew. Equestrian was new to me, and I was excited to go out and see that. And we had fencing, and I was excited to deal with that. So skiing is definitely something I'm excited for. And the fact that we're so competitive and competing against so many Division I programs week in and week out, that's exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. But I'm really just excited also to see Alumni Gym rocking for basketball games. I've heard so much about it. That's something that I actually knew about Bates beforehand. They've been in Sports Illustrated and things like that about tough places for opponents to play. So my hope is that we'll pack the place for more than just the rivalry games, which I know that we've done in the past. But I think that the student athletes could definitely use the support of their fellow students down there, and I'll be out there cheering them on, and we'll make it a fun atmosphere for everybody.
We always talk NESCAC with Bates being a big part of the conference and everything, but I know there's interesting dynamics with other schools. What's been your progress working with other athletic directors, talking with them about NESCAC policies and whatnot?
Well, there's a lot of them. The Division III, for those that don't know, the National Division III, policy and procedure manual is bigger than Division I and II probably combined. So we have plenty of rules, and then we have more in the NESCAC that we do just for our 11 schools. But speaking with my counterparts, it's been an interesting learning experience. There's a couple other new athletic directors in the conference as well, so we've had a little bit of a therapy group as far as trying to school each other on things that we don't know. But we've had a couple meetings so far. We're going to meet again in January at the NCAA convention. It's been a welcoming group. The great thing about the NESCAC is that everybody really knows about it, right? It's in Division III. My former conference, we identified as an athletics conference, but not so much in other areas. With the NESCAC, the student affairs directors, the presidents, the financial aid, the admissions, they all meet as NESCAC schools. So, what does it really mean to be a NESCAC school? That's branded through our athletics similarities, right? So to me, that's exciting, and that's an opportunity that we can use.
Great. Any other thoughts on your first quarter at Bates that we haven't discussed yet?
Other thoughts, I just really, I've been impressed with the effort of our student athletes and our coaches. I would love to see and you can issue this as a challenge to our students, not only our students, our faculty, our staff, our administration. Just the hard work and efforts of these student athletes are on display every day, and I invite folks to come down and see it. And the truth is, we have that in many areas, not just athletics. I know we have it in the theater department, and we have it in other places. And if we can be good partners in that respect to go out and support them in their efforts, we would love to do that. But we certainly want to invite everybody to come out and see what's on display with our athletics program.
On that note, women's basketball home this Friday at 7 o'clock against Maine Augusta. Jason Fein, thanks so much.
Thanks, Aaron. Great to be here.
Next time on the Bates Bobcast, we'll review how the swim teams do at the Maine State Meet and how the squash teams fare on the road against Vassar and Haverford. All that and more next time on the Bates Bobcast.